In this video, we'll quickly learn how to generate images locally with Stable Diffusion. We'll go step by step, what you need, which web UI to choose, how checkpoints work, what settings matter, and which advanced features are worth exploring once you get comfortable. Stable Diffusion stands out because it runs locally on your own computer. That means no monthly subscription, no dependence on an online service, and much more creative control. It's also backed by a very active community, so new models, extensions, and workflows keep appearing all the time. To get started, you mainly need two things: a web UI, which is the interface you use in the browser, and a checkpoint, which is the actual image model. Once you have both, you can begin generating images right away. After that, it becomes a game of experimenting and improving. Stable Diffusion can run on a range of hardware, but your experience depends heavily on system specs. Larger models like SDXL need more VRAM. A dedicated GPU makes a massive difference. If you run on CPU, it can still work, but image generation becomes very slow. The article recommends at least 6 GB VRAM for SDXL and preferably 10 GB. Now let us look at this in a simple table format. Web UI options. Choose based on ease, power, and setup comfort. Not all web UIs feel the same. Focus is usually seen as the easiest. Invoke AI is beginner-friendly, but still capable. The original Stable Diffusion web UI, often called A1111, is popular and extension-rich. Comfy UI is the most flexible, but can feel overwhelming. Stable Swarm tries to combine ease of use with comfy UI style power. Even if you don't have an ideal setup, you still have options. Macs can run many models, though often more slowly than strong NVIDIA GPU systems. And if your computer is really struggling, you can rent GPU time using services like RunPod or use cloud-based model hosting platforms such as Replicate. Now that we've covered getting started, let's test what we've learned so far.
Here's quiz number 1. See if you can get it right.
Question 1. What are the two basic things needed to begin with local Stable Diffusion? The correct answer is a web UI and a checkpoint. The article clearly says you need two things to get started: a web UI and a checkpoint. Question 2. Which web UI is generally regarded as the easiest to use? The correct answer is Focus. Focus is described as generally regarded as the easiest to use. Question 3. For SDXL, what VRAM amount is recommended as a minimum in the article? The correct answer is 6 GB. The author recommends at least 6 GB VRAM for SDXL, with 10 GB preferred. Checkpoints are fine-tuned variants of a base model. Your web UI may automatically download a starter model like SDXL 1.0, but much of the fun comes from trying community-made checkpoints. These are trained to produce different styles, looks, and strengths depending on the creator's dataset and tuning choices. The article strongly leans toward SDXL because of its higher base resolution and overall quality. SD 1.5 is still widely used and has many good checkpoints. There are also faster variants like SDXL Lightning, which generate quickly but usually at lower quality. Support can vary by web UI, so always check compatibility. When you start generating, don't change everything at once. Begin with the basics. Resolution should stay close to what the model was trained on, especially for SDXL. Samples or steps often work best around 30 to 40. CFG controls how strongly the model follows your prompt. A good starting point is around 7. But too high can make images look burned or oversaturated. Samplers are the algorithms guiding the generation process. They do affect the final look, so experimenting is worthwhile. The article mentions Euler as a classic option and DPM++3 MSDE Chorus as a favorite. Another very useful workflow is a second pass, sometimes called refiner or high-res fix, where the image is upscaled and refined for better detail. Now that we've covered models and settings, let's test what we've learned so far.
Here's quiz number 2. See if you can get it right.
Question 1. Where do many users download community checkpoints from? The correct answer is Civit AI. The article names Civit AI as the most common place to download community checkpoints. Question 2. What is the base resolution comparison mentioned for SDXL versus SD 1.5? The correct answer is 1024x1024 vs 512 x 512. The article says SDXL has a higher base resolution than SD1, 5:1024 by 1024 versus 512 by 512. Question 3. What does CFG mainly control? The correct answer is how closely the model follows the prompt. CFG, or Classifier-Free Guidance, controls prompt adherence. Once the basics are comfortable, the real magic starts. Image to image lets you begin from an existing image. LORAs are small specialized add-ons that inject a style, character, or concept. Control nets guide generation using structure from an input image, such as pose, depth, or edges. These tools are a big reason local workflows are so powerful. The article makes an important point. If you only want quick images, simpler online tools may be enough. But if you want to really shape results, refine workflows and grow creatively, local Stable Diffusion gives you much more control. That freedom is exactly what makes it so exciting for serious image makers. Now that we've covered advanced tools, let's test what we've learned so far.
Here's quiz number 3. See if you can get it right.
Question 1. Which feature uses an input image as the starting point for generation? The correct answer is image to image. Image to image starts from an existing image and then rebuilds from that base using your prompt. Question 2. What are LORAs mainly used for? The correct answer is fine-tuning style or concepts. LORAs are smaller specialized models used to add styles, characters, or concepts. Question 3. Which advanced tool can guide output using pose, depth, or edge information? The correct answer is control net. Control nets can use pose, depth maps, canny edges, and other structural signals to guide generation. That's your crash course on local image generation with Stable Diffusion. Start simple, experiment patiently, and don't worry if the first few generations are messy. That's part of the process. The more you tweak, compare, and learn your tools, the better your images will get.